What up, everybody? Week 5 of the NFL regular season wrapping up. Sunday Night Football is just finishing. Of course, there's always the Monday night game, which this week is the Packers and the Raiders, which I don't think gets anyone super excited. So here we are. The Niners, of course, look like an absolute wagon right now. Get out of the way. They look insane. But teams look insane early in the season all the time, and by the time December rolls around, they're a completely different team, whether it's injuries or the league figuring them out, all sorts of things. So the fact that the Niners look as good as they do right now does not mean that that it's game, set, match for their division or for the NFC or for the rest of the league. Part of that is because we saw a lot of good football today, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great week. The first game I want to go to, though, is the crazy ending in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, where Baltimore did a really impressive job of figuring out how to lose that game. That they, despite it being 10-3 for seemingly an eternity, they dominated the heck out of that football game. And then they give up the safety that was very nearly a touchdown on the punt. So they allow a blocked punt to make it 10-5. Kenny Pickett somehow drives him down the field after the free kick, but they get stopped, kick a field goal, so it's 10-8. Baltimore goes all the way down the field. This game is over. They're inside the 5. Lamar throws a pick. At least get the 3 points, but he did through the goal line fade, and he doesn't even throw a fade. He just throws a bullet. He hits the Pittsburgh corner right between the numbers, and then Kenny Pickett takes the ball, goes the length of the field, and throws a game-winning touchdown. He hit Pickens on go routes twice on that drive. It was crazy. All of a sudden, after Baltimore had made Kenny Pickett look like a scrub, I don't think Kenny Pickett's that good, but they made him look really, really bad all game long. And then suddenly he looks like Brett freaking Favre on the final drive of the game. They go down, and Pittsburgh somehow wins that game. And then Baltimore gets one more chance, and they strip sack Lamar, and T.J. Watt scoops it up. And the T.J. Watt scream as they won the game was as primal I've ever seen a football player do the victory yell, the victory scream, as you want to say it. So that crazy ending to that game, I called it the most insane 16-10 game I'd ever seen at the time that it was 10-8. I said this was the craziest 10-8 game I've ever seen. But a lot of credit to Pittsburgh stealing a win that they really had no right to for about 3.5 quarters. So big time win for them. In the final end of the category, make it make sense. So you go back 2 weeks, and Miami absolutely annihilates Denver. Puts 70 points on them, the whole deal. They clearly overexpended themselves a little bit because then last week they played Buffalo, and Buffalo beats them up pretty good. So a real big statement win for the Bills. Well, the Bills go to London, and maybe it's going to London that had something to do with it. The Bills go to London and lose to Jacksonville. The score ends up being 25-20, but this game was, I think, 15-11 or something like that. It was a low-scoring game, again, until the end, when suddenly both teams were scoring like crazy. Travis Etienne, a massive game for Jacksonville. Benched him in my fantasy team. Very happy about that. Big-time win for Jacksonville, team that was 1-2 and struggling. They spent 2 weeks in London. They have been across the pond for 2 weeks now. They played back-to-back games there. They beat Atlanta, then they beat Buffalo. And now they're coming back to America finally, 3-2. Buffalo, clearly, I think they must have struggled with the travel some, even though, honestly, it's not that much longer a trip than when a West Coast team has to go to the East Coast. So I'm never big on that excuse when it's the East Coast teams like a Buffalo making the trip across the pond on the without a bye week or anything like that. Still, big win for Jacksonville. Other games to talk about. It just continues to get more and more sad in Denver. The latest installment this week is a loss to the Jets. The backstory here, of course, is that Nathaniel Hackett is the Jets' offensive coordinator. Last year, he was the Denver Broncos head coach. when they had a disastrous season. Sean Payton, former Super Bowl champion, takes over as the head coach of the Broncos. What's he say in an off-season interview? That the coaching job that he took over from was one of the worst coaching jobs of all time. That is what he called it. So what's going to happen when you play the guy that you insulted that badly? I mean, remember, coaching is a fraternity. These guys do not take pot shots at each other very often. What's going to happen? The Jets come in with some energy. Denver leads for most of the game. The Jets take the lead. And then Russell Wilson is in the Russell Wilson spot. It's 24-21. His team's down a field goal with 2 minutes to go. He's got the ball. This is the Russell Wilson zone. As a Seahawk fan, we've seen him come through so many times in this situation. And what's he do? The pocket breaks down. He gets out. Classic Russell Wilson. Here he comes. But he's a step slower now. Gets caught from behind. Fumbles. Ball bounces towards the sideline. Jets guy picks it up in stride, runs it. Game-winning scoop and score. Really, just that whole play encapsulated the fall of Russell Wilson, and then Sean Payton ripping him a new one at the end, and it leading to his team losing. The Broncos falling to 1-4 and losing to a Jets team that no one's giving a lot of credit right now. It's just sad. It's just sad. There's really, at least for me, I know a lot of people are taking pleasure in watching the disaster that has been Russell Wilson's tenure in Denver. For me, it's just sad. To watch such a fall of such a guy who was so respected, was so great, was on an almost Hall of Fame trajectory in Seattle, and to watch what has become of him, his legacy, his career over the last couple of years, just is sad. Other games, Kansas City hangs on against Minnesota. Travis Kelce went down in the first half with a non-contact leg injury, which is about as scary a thing as you can have as a player. And if you're a Chiefs fan, the absolute worst guy for that to happen to. Turns out it was an ankle injury. He just rolled his ankle, comes back in the second half, catches a touchdown pass, Kansas City wins. Everything seems to come up roses for them. They're 4-1 again. No Taylor Swift in the house. Thank the Lord. I'll say it, even if no one else is willing to say it. Thank goodness we didn't get a third straight week of that. I understood the hoopla 2 weeks ago in the first game. The Sunday Night Football game was so over the top. Everything from the doing the intro by mixing in all our song titles to the constant shots up there. My big thing was Ryan Reynolds and Wolverine were at the game, and they didn't get a single mention. Come on, let's get our priorities straight here. But the Swifties are going to come after me now. But regardless, big win for Kansas City. Miami flirted around with the Giants for a while before winning. And another big statistical day for Tyreek, for Tua, who had a couple turnovers, and that's kind of what kept the Giants in it. Daniel Jones picked up a neck injury on a sack in the fourth quarter. So the Giants and the Jets have combined for 3 wins this season. So another long year in the Big Apple. And then C.J. Stroud, who's been a guy to watch. He doesn't have an interception yet. He's been having a good rookie year with the Texans. Led his team down and got the go-ahead touchdown with about a minute and a half left. It was really, really impressive. Only for his defense to allow Desmond Ridder to take Atlanta down the field for the game-winning field goal. So that was a big bummer for Houston and them when it seemed like the rookie had made a statement. Instead, Desmond Ridder made a statement of his own. The stat they said on the broadcast that blew my mind, Desmond Ridder won 26 home games as the Cincinnati quarterback. Didn't lose a home game. Hasn't lost a home game as a starter for the Falcons either. That's insane. That is crazy, particularly for a guy that's hasn't been a particularly good quarterback so far in the NFL, but has not lost a home game, and he leads the game-winning drive to not lose a home game again today. And then the last thing to mention, New Orleans beats New England 34-0. New England, it didn't even look that good. New England looked absolutely hapless. I would not want to be anywhere near Bill Belichick. But he has to own this. He has to own this because Mac Jones was the quarterback he picked. This whole team he put together. He's the GM. This is his. These are all his decisions. This is his team, and they are an absolute mess. He brought in Bill O'Brien to be the offensive coordinator. It's a mess. And you can try to bench Mac Jones and bring in Bailey Zappi. That's not going to change any of this. So, big-time mess in New England. I'm taking a little joy in it, not going to lie. But a disastrous day for the Belichicks. And then Philly looked good as usual, taking care of the Rams in what was a good, well-played game between two good teams, but Philly's defense just grinded them in the second half, and that's going to be the story of the season for Philly. So between San Francisco, Philly, Kansas City, the story today was good teams looking really good. And then some chaos, Baltimore losing, Buffalo losing, Cincinnati finally finding their offense was some of the other stories today. Anyways, this is on Justin Talk Sports on YouTube as well. Like and subscribe, or you've seen this on my Instagram. Appreciate the love. Go ahead and comment. We can communicate. Tell me what you think. All of that. Appreciate the love from everybody. Have a great week. Peace.